What is up, guys? This is Pinzo back with another video today, and what I have for you guys is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while. This is a tier list of sorts. So this is me ranking Paragon heroes based on how good their kit was in Paragon versus how much I like their kits, and then how much potential they have with those kits in Predecessor. For the heroes that are already in Predecessor, I will not be ranking them not necessarily off of their Predecessor kits, but off of if they were to get reworked, because obviously Omida doesn't want to rework a lot of the Paragon heroes that are already in the game. Some of them are very simple and they're supposed to be, that kind of thing. But if these characters were to get reworked in some way, whether it be big or small, how much potential would those kits have? So we're going to jump right into this. This is an alignment chart tier list. It's a little different than your standard, S to D kind of tier list. This is on the left here. This is their Paragon kit is bad. Right. The further right they are, the better their Paragon kit was. The higher they are, the more potential they have in Pred. And the lower they are, I think just the lower the kit potential is as a whole. So we're going to jump right into this. If you guys go on to enjoy / want to see more content like this, just let me know in the comments down below. This is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally got around to it. So starting us off, Chimera. This is a character who is supposed to be basic. He's kind of he's baby's first jungler, outside of maybe Rampage, right? He's supposed to be there. I'm going to put him kind of on the side of bad, but I'm also going to put him a little bit up because I do think that he has some more potential in Pred than he did in Paragon. I think there are some things you could change about his kit. I'm going to put him a little bit higher because they've already made some good changes to Kai's kit. I think his E is a fantastic addition to his kit, and it really synchronizes well with the rest of his kit. So I think this is like not the best kit, but I still think he has some potential. Quang. So I think Quang's Paragon kit, pretty good. There are a couple things that I dislike about it, but just that mostly that he had a passive on an ability, but I think his potential in Pred is very high. So I'm going to put him because again, I think his Paragon kit was a little bit bad, so he doesn't get to go further right, but his potential for Pred, very, very high. I think there's a lot you can do with that. Bellica. Paragon kit, I'm going to put her here. Potential in Pred, I'm gonna knock her down a little bit. I think that her kit is fine. It's very basic. I think you would have to drastically alter her abilities to make them good, and I don't think they'll do that. So I don't know. I don't know how much potential she has. Kit is fine. I think her kit is good. Her Paragon kit was fine. I wish that her stun would eat a nerf. I think it needs to be slower. If you guys remember Fault's Bellica, I really like that version of Bellica stun where it's for those of you that don't know, when she hit the ground, it was like a wave effect. So it would like as it got farther away from her. And so it had this really wave effect where if you're hitting someone at the end, it was much harder. I kind of like that. I don't think her kit has no potential, but it's a bit lower. Morigesh, Paragon kit, bad. Okay. Morigesh potential in Predecessor, very high. And I think this will be a common theme you will see. The worse a Paragon kit, I think the more potential they have in Predecessor. And that is because if Omida are willing to actually put work into strongly, revamping some kits, I think that you can make some characters really cool. If you were to make Morigesh's kit a little bit harder to use, some less lock-ons, that kind of thing, I think she has a lot of potential because I like the idea of being able to mark an enemy. I think that is a very cool mechanic in games. But as is, I think her kit is kind of bad. As is in Predecessor, I think that her kit is bad, but I think she has a lot of potential if she were to get reworked. Murdoch, very basic. I'm gonna put him more on the side of Paragon kit bad because it's just like in Paragon, especially. I don't know. It was just kind of mediocre. He had a passive, which is gonna knock a lot of these characters down. Any characters that have passives are gonna get knocked down. I'm going to drop him down a little bit just because he's a basic character. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But again, you would have to drastically revamp some of his kits. I don't think his Pred kit is bad. I just don't think it's very good. Muriel. Muriel's kind of a mixed bag for me, to be honest. Because I think as a support, she's going to be kind of on the side of Paragon kit good. I like the global ultimate, that kind of thing. I'm going to put her potential a little bit lower, but not very low. Because I do think that there's some stuff you could do with that kit, but overall, she's just one of the more basic heroes, and the more basic a hero is, the more in this center area they're going to end up. Just because there's not much, you would have to essentially make a new character to change her up a lot, and that's not exactly what I'm asking for here. Narbash. I think Narbash Paragon kit, good. Actually, I quite like Narbash's kits. We were talking about it on stream today. He's kind of like Lucio, right? He doesn't do an insane amount of like burst effectiveness, right? But he has a lot of things that he can do throughout a fight. He has, like 6 seconds of movement speed if it's fully, if your passive's fully stacked. He's a really good solo stun, good healing throughout a fight, right? His ult, if it gets off, is a very good knock-up. I'm going to put him a little bit higher on the potential because I think there's a couple things specifically with his ultimate that you could change to make this character a little bit cooler. But as is, I'll put him right here. Phase. I'm going to put her on Paragon Kit bad instantly, and I'm going to put her potential fairly low. As long as she has the link mechanic, she will not be a fun character to play against. She will never, ever feel good to play against as long as the link mechanic is in the game. If they take that away from her, then her potential goes up, but I don't think they will ever take that link away from her. So she gets to be a little low. I'm going to even place her a little bit lower. Rampage, again, kind of like Kai, baby's first jungler. I think he's fine. As far as his Paragon kit goes, he had a passive. I'm instantly going to knock him down for that. He had a passive. His Paragon kit is going to be a tiny bit worse. Potential and Pred, I'm going to put his kit a tiny bit worse than Chimera's and his potential a tiny bit lower. Just because, again, he really is, this is truly baby's first jungler. So I think his potential, his ceiling of how cool he could be is going to be a tiny bit lower than Chimera's. I'll maybe put him here. Revenant. Revenant is cool. Revenant's 4-shot passive, or like just that idea, I really like that. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. As far as where he ranks, his Paragon kit, I think, was 10% more balanced than his predecessor kit. He was more limited, like you had to stand in place to use your Q and stuff like that. I think that was a very cool limiting factor. So I'm going to put his Paragon kit good. Potential and Pred, I think is mediocre. I don't think there's a crazy amount you can do with this character. I think that you can change his Q. I think his Q should be changed, correction, to just work a little bit differently than it does. I'm not exactly sure how I would do it. There's a couple things that I've been thinking where, like, if it was a stim that he got this aura of bullets, and then each shot that he landed would send 2 of his current obliterate things at people, right? So that you actually have to hit some shots to make it work. I think that'd be very interesting. It would reduce the burst impact that just like 4th shot Q has. Something like that I think could be a little more interesting. But as is, I like his ultimate. His kit's cool. His motif is good. I like it. Richter, one of the better Paragon kits in the game. Potential and Pred, I'm going to put him very high. I think Richter is one of the most well-designed heroes that came out of Paragon, to be completely honest with you. His kit flows very well. He has very cool abilities. He has stylish plays that he can make. The only downside for Richter is that he doesn't really use the Z-axis very much, which is, when I say Z-axis, I mean up and down, aiming up and down. He doesn't do that as much, but that doesn't have to be every character. I don't think that really limits Richter from having a cool kit. So I'm going to put him fairly high on both of these because he has a lot. His Paragon kit was very good, and the better, like, good Paragon kits, I think are very easy to make into good predecessor kits. So he's going to be very high. Sereth, her Paragon kits, I'm going to put kind of down here. Her Q in Paragon, the AoE that did auto attacks to everyone inside of it, so that gave you invincibility during it. Interesting idea. Don't think it was executed quite well enough for me to put her on the good side of Paragon kits. Other than that, like, the rest of her kit's pretty much the same as it is in Pred. It's fine. Potential in Pred, I'm going to put her a tiny bit up. Because again, going off of the changes that they already made to her, I like her Q better in Pred than it was in Paragon. I think it's a better ability. It flows better with her kit. It synchronizes better with her kit. I think that is a well done Omida, which I don't say often, but I will. So I think she has a little bit more potential in Pred than she did in Paragon. Sevarog. So Sevarog, Paragon kit, I think is very mediocre. It's fine. I don't mind. I think there was a point in Paragon where he could stack off of auto attacks, and that was bad. So I'm glad that, he can only stack on abilities. That is the correct way to do a stacking passive, is to have a limiting factor to it. As far as his potential, I think the idea of a character having an evolution right? Which is essentially what Sev does. Currently, it is mostly visual. When he gets his shoulder pads, that's like he gets a little bit of bonus health on each of those tiers and he gets a little bit of bonus siphon damage. But the idea of a character having the ability to gain stacks and evolve is very, very cool. And so I think he has a crazy amount of potential if they were to completely rework his passive to where it still gives him like the same stacks. Maybe it still gives him similar stats, but do something else when he evolves. That would be awesome. So I think he has a lot of potential. Shinbi, very interesting because I think her Paragon kit is fine. I think that in Pred, she's fine. I don't really know what I would change about this character. That's kind of the thing. I'm going to put her on the side of good, very similar to Rev, and I'm going to put her with some potential because I think you could always make a kit better, but I'm not exactly sure what I would do to her. Like, I think her kit is pretty good as is, to be completely honest. Sparrow. So I think Sparrow's Paragon kit's bad. It's very, very basic. I don't like it, to be completely honest. And also, she had a passive in Paragon, instant knockdown. Lots of potential, I think. If you were to completely, I'm going to put her tiny bit below Morigesh on the potential, but if you were to completely rework this character, a character who's like a huntress with a magic bow, I'm assuming her bow is magic. I honestly don't know what the lore was on Sparrow, but I'm assuming her bow is magic. I think there's a lot of potential with that. I think you can go a lot of places with that. I think you could give her a really cool ultimate that's like, there's a character in League who has a cross-map snipe that is a slow-moving arrow that stuns. Imagine that ultimate. It doesn't stun, but it's still a slow-moving arrow, but she gets to fire like 3 of them. That would be awesome in this game, right? Something like that. And that's just a very spitball off the top of my head. I think that you can rework this character and get a lot out of her, but I think her Paragon kit, not great. Steel. Steel's kind of a divisive one because he's supposed to be basic. I think he's fine. His Paragon kit, I think it's fine. I don't dislike it. He has his ultimate in Paragon, I think, was a little bit cooler because it was slower. You kind of stopped at the top and then you slammed it down. I think cinematically it was cooler. But as far as potential goes, I'm gonna say he has like a little bit of potential in Pred because I think his kit's supposed to be basic. That's fine. I really don't mind. Faye. Faye's an interesting one because I don't really know what Faye did in Paragon. I believe her kit was very similar to the way it is in Pred. I think it's fine. In Pred, I don't know what you would change about her. I think her potential is okay. I think, yeah, I'm gonna put her a little bit on the lower end. I'm gonna put her like kit good, but a little bit on the lower end of potential in Pred, just because like I think her kit is fine, and it's sort of the like the Muriel conundrum where you would have to drastically change the character, and I just don't. I don't think that's worth it. Like that would just be a new character, I think, at that point, and I don't think that's what we're doing here. Twin Blast Paragon kit. I don't think it depends. For me personally, it doesn't matter what iteration of Twin Blast kit you're talking about. I think all of his kits were very mediocre. He had some cool mechanics. Like at one point, he had an overheat mechanic, I believe, where his like you would hit shots and it would increase your heat, and then you could activate it, I think, and it would burn people on hits. That's kind of interesting, but overall, I think that his Paragon kits were mostly bad. As far as his potential in Pred, I'm going to put him very similar to Murdoch. He's a very basic carry. That's how he's supposed to be. Obviously, his ultimate, because it got changed so much, has the most potential to be changed. But realistically, I think he's just kind of a dude. He's just a guy. Wraith. So for those of you that don't know, allegedly we're getting Wraith in the next. Wraith is the next hero, supposedly. And I think he has a lot of potential because, and the reason that I say he has a lot of potential is because I think that they are going to change his kit. I don't know what his kit is for sure, but personally, in Paragon, he had a ward. I think that's gone. I don't think they're going to give him a ward on an ability. As far as his right click goes, his snipe, his poke, that's fine. You can leave that literally as was. Don't care. That's a good ability. I don't mind that one. His invisibility on his ultimate, scrap. Take the invisibility out the game. It wasn't useful in Paragon. It's not going to be useful in Pred. I don't like invisibility as a mechanic in Predecessor. It feels really bad. As a whole, I think you take away that. If you want to give him Rewind as an ability, it has to be his ultimate, and I really wish it's not point and click. If they give him rewind as his ultimate in Predecessor, I almost guarantee it's point and click. I hate that. I really wish it was missable. Even if it's cleansable, I don't care. I would like it to be missable. Other than that, if you're going to take away his invis and his ward, you have 2 abilities now that you can make new abilities with. I think that's a lot of potential. I think that's cool. So I'm going to put him Paragon Kit, pretty bad. Potential and Pred, pretty good. Wukong. I'm going to hot take. I think Paragon's Wukong kit was actually good. It was obviously busted. Obviously, it was not balanced correctly. I think it needed some very, very large tune-ups, but the idea behind the kit, I think, was good. He was a stance switcher. I liked that. He had some cool mechanics. I liked that. Potential and Pred, maximum. Absolutely maximum potential. Because he was such a divisive character in Paragon, his potential in Predecessor is sky high. You could do a million things with this character. I think he has a crazy amount of potential. If you want to make him a switch stancer, do it. If you don't. Make his clones a basic ability. Make him his ultimate, right? There's so many things you can do with this character. I think he's got a lot of potential. Yin. Yin actually was a cool character. I think her Paragon kit was fairly good. Her potential in Pred... for me, this strongly depends on if they want to make her a carry or if they want to make her a jungler. As a jungler, I think her potential is very high. As a carry, I think her potential is a little bit lower. So I'm going to place her somewhere kind of in the middle. I liked her Paragon kit. She had a really cool, like, lasso thing where you, like, latched onto someone and jumped on them. I think that's just a very cool ability. Her ultimate was I believe it was very similar to Yasuo Wind Wall, which I think that's cool. I think she's got some potential. As a jungler, I think she has more potential personally than as she does as a carry. Zinx. So Zinx was a very weird character in Paragon. She never really found... Like, she was a solo laner for a little bit. She was a support for a little bit. She was a very weird niche, like, mana-based brawler. And, yeah, I'm going to put her Paragon kit a little bit lower, to be honest. As far as her potential in Predecessor, I don't know, man. Because this character was very, very odd. So I think that they're going to change her kit quite a bit. I would like to see that. I'm going to put her potential, like, a little bit higher. Just because I think that there's a lot you can do with the ideas from her kit. Like, a bouncing stun is really cool, but you really have to make that correctly, or otherwise it's going to be just a ridiculously oppressive, annoying to go against ability. And so I think you can do that properly. Her ultimate, I don't like. It was like a shield based on your mana, I believe, and I don't think that's very cool. So I think if you give her a new ultimate, I think she's got some potential. Feng Mao. Feng Mao is a character in Paragon that really basically does the same thing that he does in Pred. I think his kit has potential, yes, not a crazy amount. I'm going to put him a little on the lower end. As far as Paragon kit, good versus bad, I think he was very in the middle for me. His ultimate's way cooler in Pred now than it was in Paragon. But he was also a solo laner. You could play him as a brawler in Paragon a lot easier than you can in Pred. So, there's some upsides and downsides. Gideon. Gideon's also, in my opinion, one of the better designed Paragon heroes. I think that he does a couple things very well. He uses the Z-axis. He can use it with his portal, and then he can use it even more if you like portal ult. I think that's very cool. I like his ultimate. I like his abilities. He has good combos. He has some escapability. The escapability in Pred's a little OP. I'm going to put his potential a little lower just because I think his Paragon kit was very, very well made. So I think the potential to make it better in Pred is a little bit lower. So I'm going to put him a little below this. Greystone. I don't know, man. I think as a character, I think Greystone's very basic. I think that's fine. I think that in Paragon, his ultimate being a true passive, like, it's odd to think about because it does have upsides and downsides, right? Upside, you are guaranteed a second life. Downside, you can get that popped when you don't want it to, right? There are times where, maybe you wouldn't like to pop your ultimate. Maybe you're just level 6, your respawn timer's like 10 seconds. You don't want to use it because you're dead anyway, and it pops, right? That's a downside to the instant ultimate. So I'm going to put him a little bit worse on the Paragon kit just because I don't like the instant ultimate. As far as potential in Pred, I'm going to put him a little lower, to be honest. I like what they did with his ultimate. I like that it's an activated ability. Other than that, I don't think this character has a crazy amount of potential. Grim. So Grim was he had like a knockback ball. He had a like short range Neath ultimate, basically. I'm gonna put him a little lower. I don't really like his Paragon kit, to be completely honest with you. I think it's just I think it was okay, but he was this weird like disruptive carry with a fuck you ultimate, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm gonna put him a little lower. Potential in Predecessor. I think if you change the ultimate, he'll be okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna put him pretty close to Greystone. Um, I just don't like I just don't know what you would do to this character to make him cool. His right click is the best ability in his kit. It's for those of you that don't know, Grimm's right click in Paragon was a bubble that just absorbed the next ability you got hit by. That's all it did. But it's a very cool ability because it allows you to outplay people with mind games, and I really like that. So yeah, I don't know. That's I think the ability with the most potential in his kit. Other than that, I think he's kind of just a mid. Grux, another pretty basic Paragon hero, mostly has the same kit and Predecessor. I'm going to put him a tiny bit on the worst side just because of how basic it is. He's very much just a hold left click and pray kind of character. Going to put him a little bit lower on potential. I think he's fine. I don't know exactly what I'd change about him. You'd probably have to fairly drastically rework his kit. I would like to see him have a cooler ultimate. Stim ultimates, to me, are a little bit boring. Same with like Sereth. Stim ultimates are not my favorite. So I'd like to see maybe that changed. But overall, I think he ends up about here. Howie. So Howie is Howie's Paragon kit, I'm gonna put kind of bad. Just I don't like his ultimate. I don't like his Paragon ultimate. I never really have. I think it was boring. I think it was cool that it gave you some evasion, that you got to fly high, and then it gave you in Paragon, you got a boost out of it. So I think that part was good, but overall, I didn't really like his ultimate. His mines in Paragon, I think, were worsely. I think they were more poorly designed than they are in Predecessor. I like Pred's better. His potential, I'm gonna put him high because I think that in my opinion, they should rework his ultimate again, and I think there's a lot of potential to do something with a rat in a mech suit that fires rockets that has a very high ceiling of what you could do with that ultimate. So I think he's still got some potential. Iggy and Scorch. Yeah, we love Iggy. I think Iggy's Paragon kits were bad, to be completely honest. I think they were bad. I was going to put him in good just to mess with you guys, but I'm not going to do that. I think they're bad. Turret characters are very hard to deal with. They're very hard to balance correctly. Iggy had a couple iterations of turrets and ultimates. I think all of them were not very good. I think the Fire Breath ultimate was the best version of his ult. His turrets, I think the flamethrower turrets were bad. I think the lock-on turrets were also bad, so I think they were all bad. Potential and Pred, pretty good. I think that as a turret character, there's a lot you can do with that, depending on what style of ultimate you want to give him as well. I think there's a lot to do with that as well. Splash auto attacks are very cool. The fact that he can, like, he had oil spills and stuff like that that he can throw down and light on fire. I think that's very nice. I think that's just a cool mechanic. I think he's got a decent amount of potential. Kalari. Paragon kits, when she had a global ultimate, bad. Very bad. Hate that. Being able to teleport to enemies on a global ultimate is not something that I will ever condone. I do not like it. Teleporting to allies on a global ultimate is completely fine. Teleporting to enemies, I don't like. So I'm going to put her pretty bad. As far as potential in Pred, as long as she is an invisibility character, I'm going to put her quite low. If they decide to take away her invisibility, I think her potential goes much higher. I don't think they will. As long as she has invisibility, I think her potential is very low. Terra. Terra was like an anti-CC tank. I think she's fine. To me personally, the idea of giving allies CC immunity is very odd to me. In a game like Predecessor, and again, I'm a Smite player where there's CC immunity is so much more abundant. So to me, this is a little bit foreign. But in Pred, the idea of giving allies CC immunity is cool, but to the extent that Terra had it in Paragon is too much. So I think her kit is decently designed, but I'm going to put her with fairly high potential because the idea of an anti-CC tank, I think, is very good. I think that is a very good idea. I think they have a lot of potential to work with. There's a lot of room to work with here. And if they do a good job, I think she could be cool. Aurora. Aurora is another one that had her Paragon kit. I'm going to err on the side of bad because it was very, very, I think it was a combination of frustrating and annoying to the point where it was just to the point where it wasn't fun. There's a level of frustration in video games that can still be fun, if you guys know what I mean, right? There's a level of frustration, but still being able to outskill people that's fun versus a level of frustration that just makes it unfun. And I think she erred on the unfun side. As far as her potential in Pred, I'm going to put her mediocre. I think that her little dash that makes a wall, fantastic ability, really cool. Her ultimate absolutely needs to get reworked if she comes into Predecessor on the map that we have. Absolutely needs reworked. I would like to see her as more of a bruiser. I don't know how she played in Paragon, to be completely honest. Like, I don't know what style you played her. But if her Paragon kit comes to Predecessor as it was, she will be played full tank, and she will be the most annoying character you've ever played against. So I would like to see her given like a little bit more damage in her kit, maybe, and make her more of a bruiser, kind of. I think that would be very cool. Countess. I'm gonna. This is tough because I think her Paragon kit is better than her Predecessor kit. Just the way that it flowed together, I think it was better. In Predecessor, she's made so much of an assassin. She was given so much speed at which she can conduct abilities. The speed at which she throws shit out is very, very high, and I don't like that. So I don't really like her current Predecessor kit. In Paragon, I think her kit was a little better. Her potential in Pred, I'm going to put a little lower. I'm going to put her on like Gideon level, maybe a little bit lower. Until they are willing to drastically change the way that the Q interacts with being able to teleport back and forth, until they change that interaction, she's going to be just an incredibly frustrating, not very good laner, but if she gets to 30 minutes, she's unstoppable, and I don't really like that style. I think if you get put in the dirt early, you should stay in the dirt. Like, that's, and not necessarily the whole game, right? But Countess is just like, if she gets 3 items online, even if she's 0-10, she's going to insta-kill you. And I don't really like that idea. I think that it's just a little bit too much. And part of that is the speed at which she can go in and out is too quick, in my opinion. And plus, she has invulnerability going in and out. And I think you need to kind of gut the Q. Even if you have to buff the rest of her kit, gut the Q. Crunch Paragon kit, good. I'm going to put him like middle of the pack. I think it was very good. Potential in Pred, very good. Combo characters will always be cool. They will always be cool. Any character that has abilities that do something different based on the last ability you used will always be very cool to me. I think that is an incredibly cool idea. I think it can be executed properly or poorly. Crunches, I think, is executed pretty good. There are a couple things about his current Pred kit that I think are not the best. Some small tweaks that I would make, like his right-click stuns currently, his dash. I think you just need to take that away, personally. But other than that, I think his potential in Pred as a combo, essentially a fighting game character in a MOBA, very good. Very good potential. His Paragon kit was also pretty good. He gets to be ranked pretty highly. Decker. Paragon kits, I'm going to put it on the side of bad, to be honest. Cage as an ultimate, I think, is very, very lame. I think it's just not cool enough. The rest of her kit was fine. I don't really care. Her double jump being a passive in Predecessor is much better than being an ability. But as a whole, I would say her Paragon kit's fairly bad. Potential in Predecessor, I think, pretty good. At least above average potential in Predecessor. I think that there's a lot of stuff you can do with her if they were to change her. They already did change her, let's be clear. So her cage used to be an ultimate. Now it's on a basic ability. She has a brand new ultimate. Her double jump is on a passive. All of those, I think, are good changes. Well done. Could they change her more and make her better? I don't know. I don't know if it's necessary, to be honest. So I think her potential in Pred's decent. Drongo. Drongo's fine. I think his Paragon kit was very, like, middle of the road. He had I'll maybe put him slightly on the side of good. As far as potential and pred, I'm gonna put him a little lower. I think carries are very difficult to truly improve upon because they all do so much of the same thing, right? The majority of a game of playing carry is done holding left click. And so because of that, it can be very hard to truly increase the implementation of a carry. So I think his potential, just because he's a carry, gets dropped down a little bit. But decent kit in Paragon. Potential and pred to get improved. Joker. Gadget. So Gadget is... I don't know, man. Her Paragon kit, I'm going to put her on the side of bad. I just think her kit is super boring. That's really that is my main downside to this, is that her kit is boring. You throw out abilities from max range, you hope they hit, and you have some decent amount of zoning, and that is it. Her hat is a super lame ability to latch onto enemies, hate that. Right click, don't care about it. Ultimate, I think the ult is fine. Speed gate, it's fine. I don't mind. Potential and pred, I'm going to put her a little lower. I just think that a character like this, with her idea being just long-range artillery, I just think it's a boring idea, to be honest. I've always thought that characters like that are boring. But, yeah, so she gets to be a little bit lower. And that is the last one. So, drawing conclusions from this graph, I think the biggest conclusion to draw is how much the bad Paragon kits can be improved. I think that's like the biggest thing to look at here. Because a lot of these bad Paragon kits characters I think they have a lot of potential, in my opinion. I think that you can reiterate on these characters and make them very cool in this game. You just have to actually be willing to rework them. As far as, like, these guys kind of in the middle, a lot of these are just very basic characters that I think you would have to drastically rework to make them much cooler. And at that point, you're essentially making them a new character. So, barring making them a new character, I think as their kits are, they're just basic, which lowers their potential and pred. But overall, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, right? You have to have some basic characters in games. That's just how it is. I don't think that that's a bad thing. It just is. They're just a little lower potential because of how basic their kits are. As far as these good in pred or good in Paragon, lots of potential in pred. These are just characters that are cool. Straight up, these are just characters that are cool. They were made properly the first time, or they have potential to be made well again, like Wukong. Right? I think that there's a lot of potential from Paragon characters to be cool in Predecessor, if they're willing to rework, like, some of the old, kind of out-of-date abilities, and or work in some more verticality into some of these characters, stuff like that. I think there's a lot of potential in a lot of Paragon kits. So, yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I'm really curious what you guys think of this kind of tier list, whether or not you agree with me. Hopefully, you guys understand. Like, I've never done one of these kind of charts before, so hopefully you guys understand. I think I made my voice... hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about each of these characters. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. As always, guys, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, etc. But as always, I've been Pinzo. This video is donezo. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.